Hello, welcome everyone. My name is Leela Rhodes and I'll be your moderator today. Thank you so much for joining us here at NetCom Learning, a market leader in promoting lifelong learning, training, and talent development solutions. We are very excited to host today's webinar, An Introduction to ITIL for Managing Professional Transition. And presenting today's topic is Shoumik Das. Shoumik is a project management subject matter expert with over 15 years of progressive experience in project and service delivery management. His focus areas include task tracking, team management, client interaction, problem solving, deficit prevention, and process implementation. He possesses a vast knowledge of the latest project management tools, and he has also assisted clients in managing and monitoring projects using project management tools, MS Project 2010 and 2013, and much more. Now, please bear in mind that this is just an overview of a very robust topic, and we do offer a collection of technical and business courses that can be tailored towards your specific requirements. And if you're interested in a further discussion about any of those, you can make an appointment with our learning consultants through our website at www.netcomlearning.com. Today's session is also being recorded, so you will get free access to the recording in the next 24 hours via email. NetCom Learning helps customers build innovative learning organizations by achieving a smarter workforce, adopting change, and driving growth. We do this with a broad catalog of offerings, developing customized learning plans, and our global delivery capabilities. Since 1998, we have been empowering organizations with our managed learning services to help them reach optimal performance results and address challenges. We have 9 practice areas in which we specialize, and they encompass people, process, and technology training. Today's presentation is from the business process practice area. NetCom Learning offers a comprehensive training portfolio for our business courses, and our upcoming classes include various training on Create, Deliver, and Support CDS with certification exam, overview of ITIL4 Foundation to Expert, ITIL4 Specialist, Drive Stakeholder Value, DSV, with certification exam, and much more. And private training to teams is also available, and those learning plans can be customized to the specific needs of that audience. You can also access a variety of business process marketing assets, such as the free 1-hour training, free on-demand training, and blogs by clicking on the available webinar handout. And these offerings can also be found with a simple search on our website at www.netcomlearning.com. In this webinar, we will learn about the ITIL V3 professionals who work closely with technology and digital teams and have prior knowledge on quickly transitioning across to ITIL4 and much more. And now I'm going to give you a quick overview of the logistics before we do get started today. To start with, you have the option to adjust the window size to your liking. You can simply hit the escape key and find the zoom button on the top left corner of your GoToWebinar viewer. Everyone has been muted except for our presenters, so feel free to submit any questions you have for the presenters in the questions panel, and we will address them at the end of the session today. Also, to get the best out of today's webinar, we've included the slides, courses we've talked about, and marketing assets in the handout section of your GoToWebinar viewer, and you can refer to those to get a better understanding of the topic. And now I'm going to go ahead and pass the time over to Shoumik to present today's topic. Thank you so much for joining us today. You should be able to share your screen now.
Thank you very much, Leela. Just give me a minute. Okay, is the screen visible?
Yes, it is.
Perfect. So first things first, I would like to welcome everyone on today's session about ITIL for managing professional transition. So this is going to be a topic where we go ahead and talk about ITIL and different levels of ITIL, and then how to go ahead and move from the version 3 ITIL to version 4 ITIL. The topics that we will be going ahead and covering today are going to be an introduction to ITIL 4. We will talk about the overview of ITIL practices, and then we will talk about the service management thing. Okay, so starting with the first topic, that's going to be the overview of ITIL4. So just to give you a heads up, team, when we talk about ITIL and when we talk about the latest version of ITIL4, this is introduced in year 2019. And till 2019, we actually had something called ITIL v3. Why exactly Exelos, the governing body, then governing body, uh, decided to move from ITIL v3 to v4 is because when we talk about the service management industry, yes, ITIL is considered to be uh, one of the de facto standards, one of the certifications that are being kind of everyone's looking for. But people started considering ITIL v3 as a standard, literally a standard. People started saying that we are trying to implement ITIL, we are trying to go ahead and follow ITIL, whereas the whole objective of ITIL was to go ahead and prepare a kind of toolkit, giving a set of best practices to the practitioners so that they can go ahead and customize and know how to use that in their organization. It was never been an objective to go ahead and give them a standard per se. So when we talk about the ITIL4, ITIL4 essentially gonna help organizations, IT organizations, uh, on their digital transformation. Now, when I say organizations or IT organizations on their digital transformation, understand this team that moving forward, going forward, all organizations are gonna be IT organizations. You cannot actually go ahead and talk about a specific industry, a specific line of business which will be not touched by IT. So anything and everything will include IT. And when we talk about IT, we will be going ahead and managing a lot of IT services. Now, point is, when we talk about IT and IT services, we don't want ourselves, people who are involved with uh, IT industry or people who are involved with information technology, information and technology. We don't want ourselves to be considered as just a service provider. The reason is because moving forward, IT is going to be a core contributor in establishing, developing, managing, and achieving the business strategies and business objective. So ITIL4, or uh, regardless of the fact which version is in question, ITIL per se was actually being designed and is being designed to go ahead and make sure that IT works in conjunction with the business. These two entities work together as one to make sure that the overall objective, the overall business objective, is being delivered. We as IT service providers, we as people who are involved with IT specific services, our objective is to go ahead and deliver value to our customer. And remember, when we talk about delivering value, we are talking about making sure that business objectives, business requirements are met. Understand this, team. We as service providers, who do we cater to? Who do we go ahead and provide our services? Who utilizes the IT services? Majority of the time, it's going to be the business team. And business is primarily concerned about the business value. Understand, for an example, when we talk about internet, business is not concerned about how fast the internet is. What they precisely need is how quickly the information can be shared, how quickly the data can be processed. So that's what they're more concerned about. They're not primarily concerned about, they will never come to you saying that I need an internet with the speed of X. No, that's not their expectations. Their expectation is to get a secured communication channel, a faster communication channel. And we being the service provider, we need to go ahead and understand these concepts. And that's what's being explained. That's what's being focused in ITIL. ITIL now, especially the version 4, primarily focus on how can we identify what is business value and how can we link ourselves, how can we go ahead and make sure that we contribute in achieving that business value. So who in specific are gonna get any kind of benefit when we talk about this ITIL, when we talk about ITIL certifications? What kind of role, what kind of entities can actually get benefited? So to summarize this, I'll probably go ahead and say that those who have been involved in business and moving to a company dealing with technology or IT, those involved in IT service management, any IT consultants, mid-level or senior level professionals in the IT sector. And to summarize all of them, I would simply say that anyone and everyone who's involved in managing, developing, delivering IT services and have an objective to meet business expectations. So anyone and everyone who is supposed to manage IT services and cater to the business expectations are going to be someone who will be benefited with these certifications. So when we talk about ITIL, I'm not talking about any specific certification here. When we talk about ITIL, especially the version 4, what exactly ITIL is made up of? What are the components? What are the different chunks that comes together to form something called ITIL? So to get into that detail, we may go ahead and simply break up the entire ITIL into 7 areas or 7 components. That's going to be first the key concepts. Key concepts will include the basic definitions and explanations about things like what is a service, what is service management, what is the definition of value, what is capability, how values are defined. So those definitions, those explanations are captured under the umbrella of key concepts. Then comes the service value system. Practically speaking, you may go ahead and call service value system as a kind of a backbone for ITIL. Service value system essentially go ahead and cover the components that are required to make sure the service which will add value is being created. So if you look into the picture, you will notice that there are 5 things that are being mentioned here. We normally refer to them as 5 components. These are the guiding principles. There are 7 guiding principles, straightforward principles that anyone and everyone who's involved in service industry can follow. You don't have to be specific to a industry type. You don't have to be specific to a particular size of the organization. These are very generic by nature. Second thing you see here is governance. If we are talking about delivering value, if you're talking about creating value, you need to have established some kind of ground rules, some kind of mechanism through which you can control. So 3 words that should come to your mind every time you hear governance is evaluate, direct, and monitor. That's going to be the core of governance. Whatever certification, whatever explanations you get into for governance, you will notice that they all gonna drill down to only these 3 components, which is evaluation, direction, and monitoring. Then comes the service value chain. Service value chain is considered to be the heart of ITIL. It includes specific elements which are supposed to be followed with a defined sequence to make sure a proper valuable service or product is created. That sequence, that defined sequence of those elements are called the value stream. And as an organization, you're supposed to be very much clear, very much aware of that value stream, because that explains, that captures that input about how you are planning to go ahead and create value. Then comes practices, general practices like change management, or let's say change enablement, service desk, incident management. So set of practices which essentially gonna help you manage and maintain the IT services. And finally is continual improvement throughout everything. Practically speaking, it's a very critical topic. Why I say it's a critical topic, we talk about continual improvement as one of the component of service value system. Then we go ahead and cover continual improvement as a practice as well. So there are multiple places where you will see continual improvement, and the purpose is to simply let the participants know that it's something which is going to happen time and again. It's not a one-time thing. The 4 dimensions of service management, these are the 4 pillars that support the service value system, or in simple words, that supports the value creation. In simple words, if you go ahead and remove any of these component, take your own organization's example, think in these terms. If you remove any of this component, you might not be able to go ahead and achieve that level of value that you are planning to deliver. Now, these 4 dimensions includes organization and people. So the group of people, that reporting structure, all that falls under the category of organization and people. Then comes information and technology. Simple example, everything now is data driven. And there are so much of data, you cannot simply go ahead and write down every entry and then evaluate what exactly it's trying to tell you. So you use machines. Data, when processed in a correct way, in a correct format, that's where information comes in. And to process that data, you use technology. Then comes partners and suppliers. Those who support you, those who help you deliver value. Again, if you are part of an IT organization, you will realize that you have some kind of dependency on some external entities who are not within your organization. And it's going to be very critical for you, because if they are not going ahead and delivering or adhering to their side of commitment, you might not be able to go ahead and achieve the business value you are planning to deliver. And the last one is going to be the processes and value streams. So the defined processes and the defined value streams which help you achieve, or which helps you deliver that product or service which is used by the consumer, which is used by the customer to achieve value. Service value chain, like I said, this is going to be the heart of service value system. The elements that falls under service value chain, it's plan, improve, engage, design and transition, build or obtain, deliver and support. Now, just because in the slide, they've been mentioned as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do not consider that this is the sequence of these elements to be followed. No. Always remember, there is no defined sequence. ITIL is not defining any sequence. This is just to go ahead and give you a number, say, showcasing that, yes, there are 6 elements. What's going to be the sequence, or how exactly the sequence be defined? That's going to be based on the scenario. You planning to go ahead and design a new service altogether? The sequence of these 6 elements are going to be different. You planning to improve something? The sequence is going to be different. Customer requested something? The sequence is going to be different. You evaluated the performance through governance and you realize that, yes, improvements needed. The sequence is going to be different. So every sequence is going to be dependent on the scenario, and that is supposed to be designed, that is supposed to be decided by the organization itself. Guiding principles, like I said, very straightforward 7 principles, like focus on value. You don't have to be part of IT, you don't have to be part of any specific kind of organization or any specific kind of industry to follow this. You're working, you are planning to go ahead and achieve some objective, go ahead, focus on value. Start where you are. Understand what's around you, look around you, see what you have, and try and identify what best can be delivered with this, with what you have. Just because you're trying to go ahead and bring in some best practices does not mean you're going to go ahead and scrap everything that you already have and start from scratch. No. Progress iteratively with feedback. Take small steps. Don't try and jump. Don't try and cover a huge distance in one go. Take small steps. Reason, requirements. They're not constant. They're ever changing, always changing. Market conditions, customers' requirement, customers' demand, competitors' compared ability to deliver something. That's always changing. Now, since these things are always changing, you cannot go ahead and say that, okay, I have defined a plan now, and now I'm going to go ahead and implement it for 2 years, 3 years, and then we will see if we achieved something or not. You need constant feedback from your stakeholders. Are you moving on the right direction? Collaborate. We are not restricting ourselves to just communicating. The problem when we use the word communicating, I'm not saying there is something wrong with communication. The problem is we go ahead and take it in a very wrong way. For us, when we say communication, we send an email and we assume that, yes, the communication is done. That's why we need to move to the next step, which is collaboration. We need to go ahead and work together. We need to go ahead and break that barrier where we're just sending an email and assuming that the other party have read that email and understood that email. Think and work holistically. Keep it simple and practical. So try and keep things simple and optimize and automate. These are the 7 basic principles that ITIL go ahead and recommend. Management practices. Practically, there are many management practices. Precisely, if I have to go ahead and give you a number, I will say there are 36 management practices. We normally, in the foundation level, we cover a few. When we move to the next advanced level, that's where we go ahead and cover a few. I'm not going to go ahead and cover all that in here. What I need to go ahead and talk about is When we talk about these management practices, what you will notice that these management practices are actually going to be divided in three groups: general management practice, service management practices which are specific to IT service management, and technical management practices. Now, the next step, when we talk about the managing professional level, that's once you move forward, once you go to the next step from ITIL Foundation. So what's the next step? When we talk about managing professional, what exactly is the next step? There can be many. One of them can be CDS. CDS stands for Create, Deliver, and Support. Now, this particular certification, it actually covers the creation of service. So it's something which is going to be good for those who are primarily involved in creating the service from the scratch, creating the services, delivering the services, and making sure that the service is supported enough to meet the business objective. Someone who's constantly in touch with the stakeholders, collecting information, collecting feedback about the services, for them, they may move to certification called Drive Stakeholder Value. Primary objective within the Drive Stakeholder Value, this particular module essentially go ahead and cover things like the service level agreement designing and managing, um, managing multiple suppliers, managing the collaboration and communication aspect, or managing the relationships. So business relationship management, um, connecting with your customers about the customer's experience, user experience concepts. So practically, this is for uh, those entities who are involved in managing a set of relationship with the stakeholders and who are primarily going to drive the value from stakeholders perspective. Next, high velocity IT. This particular module includes practices like agile, lean, and the overall objective here for this particular uh, module is how exactly you can go ahead and manage the transformation of IT services. How can you make the IT services agile? How can you make yourself someone who is quick to respond? How can you make yourself as in the organization as someone who's not afraid of changes, who welcome changes? And the next one is DPI, Direct Plan and Improve. This certification is for those who are kind of involved in some level of middle management, someone who's managing the strategic side of IT services. This module also covers concepts related to lean and agile, um, but overall objective here is going to be to go ahead and make sure that you understand and you're able to link the business strategy, business goals, business objectives with IT strategy. Always keep this in mind, team. IT strategy is driven by the business strategy. So there is no way you go ahead and create a business IT strategy which is not linked to business. The ideal scenario is everything that is written as part of your IT strategy need to actually connect to something which is documented as business strategy. Now, these are something which is going to go ahead and cover the chunk of managing professional. We do have an examination, specific examination called managing professional transition. Now, this particular certification, the MPT, is for those participants who started their journey for ITIL with version 3, and they have reached either the version 3 expert level, or they have a bare minimum of 17 credits of ITIL V3. When I say 17 credits, each examination in ITIL used to go ahead and provide a specific number of credits. Like ITIL version 3 foundation used to go ahead and give you 2 credits. If you follow the lifecycle modules like service strategy, service design, service transition, service operations, they all used to give you 3 credits each. The capability module used to go ahead and provide 4 credits each. And the managing across the life cycle used to give you 5 credits. So in case you have started your journey with version 3 and you have 17 credits and you want to now switch to version 4, you can go ahead and take this examination, managing professional transition. And that's going to go ahead and make sure you have the understanding of the version 4 and basic concepts of version 4. But I would also like to go ahead and tell you right here that this certification, as per the information that is available with PeopleCert right now, this examination is going to be valid till 1st of July 2022. That's going to be the date when this particular examination will be discontinued. After that, if you have version 3 certifications and you want to move to version 4, you have to start from the foundation of version 4. Okay. Now, what's precisely are the benefits of ITIL, whether it is version 3, whether it is version 4? What is the benefit? First things first, ITIL in both its version was trying to go ahead and establish a relationship between the business and IT community. In ITIL 4, especially the latest version, we go to an extent where we go ahead and say that when we talk about value creation, it's not a one-sided thing. It's not that as a service provider, I'm the one who's accountable for value creation. No. Value is co-created, which means both the entities, the service provider and the consumer, both needs to go ahead and connect. Then only value can be created. Next, improved service delivery and customer satisfaction. The whole concept of ITIL is designed in a way that it supports customer satisfaction. You keep customer in focus. That's always going to be the focus area for you. It reduces the cost through improving the utilization of resources. It actually gives you the visibility about the IT cost and IT asset, and also give you an idea of how to use these assets at its optimum level. Better management of business risks. First things first, it gives you the information about what is a business risk, what is a technology centric risk, and how you are supposed to go ahead and handle them. And ITIL helps you manage and create an environment which is going to be stable. Understand, when I say stable, I'm not saying it is not willing to change. It is, of course, willing to change, but in a much more subtle, stable way. Change doesn't have to go out and interrupt other services. And ITIL make sure that it is being followed. So, what all roles are normally get involved in this, or what do we expect people who are involved in the IT service management roles? What do we expect from them? So we normally expect people who are involved in the IT service management role. We expect them to be uh, now more aware of the business priorities. So understand this, team, that I'm talking about people who are involved in IT service management, and we are expecting them to be aware of business priorities, because if you are not aware of your business priorities, you won't be in a position to go ahead and manage your IT services to meet the business expectations. Awareness of the role IT plays in enabling the business objective, or how can IT contribute in achieving the business objective. Need to have customer service skills, need to understand or need to be aware of what IT can deliver to the business. What are the current capabilities? What could be the possible future capability requirement from the business side? Knowledge and information necessary to complete their role, and the ability to use, understand, and interpret the best practices, policies, and procedures to ensure adherence. That's where I'm going to stop, team.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. We are going to have a question and answer session just to for everybody who's on to have a chance to kind of pick your brain. But first, before we get to that, we are going to hear from Eliza. She's our product manager, and she's going to introduce some promotions and webinar related courses. Eliza, are you with us?
Yes, Leela, thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us. And while she covers this information, go ahead and start putting your questions into the questions panel.
I have some questions for Shumik.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess you're first to the show then.
Yes, while everybody's jotting down their questions, I have a couple. And the reason why I'm asking these questions, it might it might answer some questions that people may have. I get a lot of clients, Shumik, who come to us at NetCom Learning, and they've already done like maybe the foundation of the version 3. Sometimes maybe another course on top of that, but I really get a lot of people who say that, hey, I've done the version 3 of ITIL 4. I'm sorry, ITIL version 3, and now I want to move to ITIL 4. And usually what we tell them is, why don't you start from the version 4, which is the foundation
Did we lose you, Shomek?
I thought I lost Eliza.
Oh, was it Eliza who cut out? I heard her stop talking. I thought she got to a question. Eliza, we're not hearing you.
Okay. Leela, I believe what Eliza was trying to ask is when someone comes with a question that we have done few certifications with version 3 and what's going to be the best step forward. So I would recommend at this point in time, understand what kind of certifications you have done so far with version 3. If you are close to 17 credits, if you're close to 17 credits, the version 3 certifications are still available. If you want, you can go ahead and go through those certifications. Once you're done with that, take the managing transition certification, and then you are already shifted to version 4. But in case you have just done the foundation, let's say you've completed just the ITIL V3 foundation certification, and that's the only certification you have done. In that case, I would recommend it's always going to be a better idea that you start with the version 4 foundation, because that's going to give you a more clear view of what precisely is being covered with version 4. I'm not gonna say, or I'm not saying that version 4 is better than version 3, or version 4 is gonna make the version 3 not applicable. Nothing of that sort. It's just that version 3 is gonna still gonna act as a platform over which version 4 is based. So yes, pretty much version 4 is going to be more sensible, considering the conditions, considering the environment that we are moving into. But if you are pretty much close to 17 credits with version 3, you can go ahead and move with the 17 credits and then move to, say, the managing professional transition there.
Thank you. And I think Eliza is back with us. Her mic is on mute right now, but for some reason her audio disconnected shortly. Are you there, Eliza?
I'm back. I'm back. I'm sorry. Oh my God, I missed the question. I'm going to watch this webinar for that answer. I will watch it. I will come back. I will watch it. Okay. One more, Leela. Sorry. One more question. Okay. Jumik, I wanted to ask you one more thing. Our ITIL has a managing professional. They have strategic leader. And I know, just by the verbiage of it, you can literally tell, I mean, what goes on in managing professional, what goes on in strategic leader. And I can put prime examples of job roles, which would fall under both. But I also want to be able to understand I'm not going to say mention some acute differences, but what are the differences in between both? There is a shared course, which is, direct, plan, and improve. But what is the difference if I take the managing professional as opposed to if I take the strategic leader? What are the possibilities of my career growth with that kind of certification from ITIL?
So, okay, to give you a broader bifurcation between these two chunks, Liza, when we talk about the managing professional, this is for people who are within IT in a managerial role, whose primary objective is to understand what's the strategy and accordingly plan and design and manage and maintain the IT services. Whereas someone who's moving to the strategic leadership role or strategic leadership certification, that essentially means you are moving to a role where your primary objective is going to be to manage, design, develop, the IT strategy for the organization. So strategic leaders, this is for people who are strategists, who design the strategy.
Mm-hmm.
And
The holistic
managing,
strategy as to where the organization should go in, next fiscal year or next 5 years, and when it
so
comes to the entire IT.
so yeah, there will be someone who's designing and developing those business strategies, and then there will be someone, like, let me give you an example here. Let's say you have a CTO. What's going to be the
Okay.
primary job of a CTO? CTO's primary job precisely is going to be to make sure that everything within IT is contributing, is helping the business achieve its objectives. So the CTO is going to go ahead and uh, design and develop the IT strategy, of course, keeping
Mm-hmm.
in mind what's the business strategy is. But then there will be domain heads within IT whose primary job is to go ahead and literally implement that strategy within their domains, making sure that everything that is happening in their domain is going to support that strategy. That's where the managing professional comes in.
Okay. Okay. That makes a lot more sense now. I was, I think a few months ago, I was trying to pick the courses because I did the foundation.
Mhm.
And I was trying to pick a course for myself, and I was thinking about it that, hey, which path should I take? Should it be the managing professional? Should it be the strategic leader? And now I think they have some extension courses as well. Do you know about that?
I heard few of them being introduced
Okay.
recently.
Yeah, yeah. I don't really have them up on the website as yet. I don't have an outline for them. But I am pretty sure that we would be offering those quite soon as well. Anyways, I don't want to
So,
take any more time. Thank you so much, Shumi, for answering my questions. All right. So, thank you everyone for joining the webinar today. I'm very grateful. And I think I'm going to go back to doing my job, and I'm going to show you all the promotions that we have. And you will be able to pick and choose out of exactly what you want to do. So if you ever want to come to ITIL, so I am on the ITIL page in our website already. So let me take you back to homepage, and you could just come to our website, www.netcomlearning.com. Some of you would have come to our website and signed up for this webinar. Sometimes you get emails and so on and so forth, and then you like the webinar that was happening, and you would have signed up for it that way. But anytime you want to come to our webinar or to our website, just type in www.netcomlearning.com. And if you want to come to the ITIL page, the easiest way to get there is to just click on ITIL right over here, and it'll bring you to the same page that I was on. And I was actually taking a gander through the resources that we have. What Shumik was talking about today, transitioning from V3 to V4. We have a blog about it. So, something like a write-up, you're more than welcome to go through it. It talks about different courses, the differences between V3 and V4. And it talks about managing professional transition as well, and what you have to do and to move yourself from V3 to V4. A couple of success stories, you have some on-demand webinars. But the main reason I brought you here is because you have your popular courses if you want to sign up for one, and you have your popular certifications. Now, any one of you, if you don't have even the foundation, and I'm assuming some of you do and some of you don't, if you don't have the foundation, what I would suggest you to do is to come into our homepage and get the NetCom Plus subscription. And if you unlock that subscription and you go into ITIL, you would see that the ITIL 4 Foundation with Certification exam is already part of that. This is an instructor-led course. I'm not giving you an e-learning. It's not a self-paced course. It is an instructor-led course, which you will be able to take. It comes with the certification exam voucher, so you should have that as well. Another thing is that with the NetCom Plus subscription, you won't just have access to ITIL. Now you're into IT service management, you would have project management. So if you're here for all areas into business processes, you would have ITIL, you have PMI, and in there, in leadership and management courses, you would see some other courses as well: time management, advanced business writing, coaching skills, and so on and so forth. If you're interested, it opens up the entire subscription and all of these courses for you. So you should be able to take them. And these are all instructor-led trainings. Some of them would be e-learnings, but it would tell you that this is an e-learning. So you can definitely look into that. So as opposed to just getting one course, what you will get over 500 courses, and you should be happy with that. Other promotions that we have over here. Now, if you have a team, let's say that you want that team to be able to understand the IT service management, or even a particular course that, hey, I'm going into my managing professional path, or maybe even for the ITIL foundation, or you say, I want to take a complimentary 2-hour training. I'll show you where it is. Free ITIL training right over here. So you have access to take a 2-hour free ITIL training on any of the ITIL path. Now, this particular training kind of gives you an overview. If you go into course details, it gives you an overview of all the paths. Not exactly a 40-minute webinar kind of thing, but it will tell you different topics, and it would deep dive into those topics. You are more than welcome to customize this as well. We have one small ask though, and my small ask is that if you do want to sign up for this training, we ask that there are 10 people in the group with you who want these 2 hours for free training. We can offer that to you as well. Other webinars which are coming up on business processes, you could just come to our resources, come into the webinar section. By the way, the free training comes with 2 PDUs as well. If you have a PMI certification that you need to upkeep. You have various other webinars coming up for business processes. You have a risk management one coming up. You have another ITIL 5 key takeaways, coming up. So if you want to sign up for these webinars, you have agile methods and so on and so forth. If you want to view more ITIL webinars, you have all of our recorded webinars. This is where I will be tomorrow, trying to figure out what Shumik said about my question. You can always come in over here and you can watch the past webinars as well. So that's all that I have for today. Leela, back to you. Sorry for taking too much time. Sorry.
Thank you so much. And it's not a problem. I do have one other quick question for you today, and I don't know if you covered this and I just missed it. Is there any sort of certificate for participation for today's webinar?
There isn't a certification per se, because like you mentioned while you were introducing Shumik, that this is a very robust topic. It does not qualify it for a certification, but because you attended this webinar, you are eligible of 1 PDU credit. Just get in touch with us. Our email is itil@netcomlearning.com, and we will be able to give you your claim code for that PDU.
And you said that's itil@netcomlearning.com?
That's correct.
I'm just going to type that into our chat box for the audience, and you should be able, that'll be in the chat. Okay, then I will go right into our questions. Our first question for Shumik. What are the prerequisites for the ITIL 4 exams?
Okay, for foundation, there is no prerequisite. Anyone and everyone can appear for ITIL 4 foundation certification. For the advanced certifications, you need to be bare minimum ITIL foundation certified. And if you're going to specifically, like Eliza asked this question, if you're trying to go to the leadership part and you're looking for ITIL, digital and IT strategy leader, you would require to have a bare minimum of 5 years of experience um, in leading and managing IT services. That's it.
Awesome. Okay, and our next question I'm seeing is, I already have ITIL V3 foundation. Should I continue with V3 or should I move to V4?
Okay. So if you already have a V3 certification, I believe I answered this question. This is similar to what Eliza asked. That depends to what level you have covered. If you are close to 17 credits, then I would recommend you continue with V3, get your 17 credits, and then move to ITIL for managing professional transition and get this certification covered. So you're gonna switch from version 3 to version 4. If you're not close to that 17 credits and you are planning to move to ITIL, then it's better you start with the ITIL 4 foundation.
Thank you. And it looks like we have one more question to get to. If nobody else has any other questions, then we will wrap up as soon as that is answered. Our final question I'm seeing right now is, why did Excelos move from version 3 to version 4?
This is something which I answered in the very beginning. The primary reason why we Excelos moved from version 3 to version 4 is because see, version 3, there's nothing wrong with version 3, but market changed. The approach of managing IT services, that changed. So one primary reason is we need to understand that value creation and value delivery, it cannot be essentially a role of just the service provider. So one primary reason is to go ahead and define that accountability and confirm that value creation is something which is shared between the service provider and the service consumer. So that's one reason. Second reason is with version 3, we have noticed that people started trying to implement ITIL in their organization. I personally have came across people who in trainings go ahead and say that we tried to implement ITIL and we failed, or we are already implementing ITIL, or we have implemented ITIL. See, the problem is ITIL was never being designed to be implemented. It was never being designed as a standard or as something which you can go ahead and simply implement in your organization. So to move away from that approach, or to avoid that language which gives the idea that yes, ITIL can be implemented, that's also one of the major reasons why ITIL or Excelos moved from version 3 to version 4.
Thank you so much. And I know that we could keep going all day long, but unfortunately we're out of questions and we are actually out of time as well. So we are going to go ahead now and wrap up by launching a quick poll to find out how many people might be interested in taking some additional training. In addition to today's webinar, we have a lot of informative webinars coming up. So please go to www.netcomlearning.com/webinars/ to register for any of those. And we want to thank you all for joining us today. If you do come up with any additional questions, please feel free to send them to us at webinar@netcomlearning.com at any time. And we hope that you all found today's webinar to be informative, and we look forward to seeing you back here with us very soon. Also feel free to tell your friends and colleagues about our webinars and other upcoming courses. Thank you, everyone, and have a wonderful day. Thank you, Shomik.
Thank you.